want to explain how and why we rotationally graze our animals. And you might hear us call it management intensive grazing as well. It allows us to be able to adapt as needed. So, for instance, if you've watched any of our videos in the past, we have typically moved our sheep every 2 days. Sheep have been moved every 2 days. Chickens have been moved 3 to 4 days, sometimes 5 days if they're on a large paddock and they're not tearing up the ground. That all changes with the weather. When we have more mud, or when it's more wet and more mud, they tear up the ground quicker, so we tend to move them faster. Also, it changes right now with it going into spring. The grasses here in Kentucky are really greening up and they're growing pretty well right now. So because of that, we're moving our sheep daily. And I want to spin you around and just show you a few things that we're doing. Another thing, we did have our chickens up at the top of the hill. They were way up there on the backside, separate from our sheep. We moved our sheep up here on the hill, what was that, a couple weeks ago when we had all the floods. We had some of the worst flooding Kentucky's seen since I think the flood in '97. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think that was some of the worst we've seen since '97. So we got the sheep out of the bottom flat. Ironically enough, our bottom flat really didn't flood, even though we really thought it was going to, and the creek was up the entire time. Needless to say, we brought them up to keep them a little bit more safe. Once we brought them up, we realized, hey, we're utilizing all these electric net fencing. Let's bring the chickens down here behind them. That was my wife's idea. We've done it before, but it's a good idea, and I'll explain why. One, it consolidates our fencing. So as you can see, we like to do long runs. We've got some fences that I think are like 164 footers, something like that. I think they're only 42 inches tall, and I believe those are like 164 foot long. We try to utilize those for our long runs. The ones here, and I've got it folded over so that they could access this other section, but I'm leaving it because we're going to move the chickens into here tomorrow or the day after and block them off. But all these are 100 footers. So when we have our fence down here, we set our 100 foot, we set that fence first. That gives us our depth, and then we come in with our top fence and connect it and just keep running down the length. So we use 100 footers. The spacing, the width varies just depending on the terrain and how the grasses are growing in that particular section. Once again, this is more of a management intensive grazing because we adapt it to the environment and as needed. You can also see the chickens are getting ready to go to bed, getting ready to go to roost. I could add some more roost in there. The other thing that I can't ever get a good picture of while I'm down here, I guess I can, underneath, they will get up on the wagon chassis and perch underneath. But one of the reasons why we like to have our chickens following our sheep, our goats, and hopefully here soon some cattle. We've had a couple cattle here before, sold them. We'd like to have them back, you know, not those particular ones, but we'd like to have cattle back on the property, and that is hopefully in the cards for this year. But we want that diverse. We want the diverse species on the property, and I'll show you the sheep back behind me. The diverse species on the property because it's better for the soil impact. The manure, when the sheep or cattle or goats, whatever it may be, their manure, and there's number 7, just like always. It's like a puppy dog to me. When their manure drops, the chickens do an excellent job of coming back behind, scratching it all up, taking care of any of the fly larvae, and really getting all the bugs and critters and stuff out of here. So we just kind of keep following the chickens behind. Now I'll pan around again. Okay, so You can see we've got, these are once again, this is on 100 foot long. Our section here is only probably 30 foot wide, 30 foot wide, something thereabout. And then we'll have another section like that tomorrow. Yes, number 7. You're such a sweetie. They're losing their winter fur, or not their fur, but their winter coat is coming off. It's all shedding off. But they are all due to lamb here at the end of the month. So we're looking forward to that. But what I was getting back to is, because we're moving these every single day, our paddocks don't have to be massive. We can pack them in, condense them. And really, I mean, this is, let me show you, this is yesterday. Like, that's the grasses still left. You can see where they're eating the tips and then leaving the rest. And that's exactly what we want. This grass is still 6, 7, 8, 10 inches tall. And we'll leave that. The chickens are able to come in here. They're able to get all the manure and spread it all around. They get tons of bugs and insects this time, especially this time of the year, going into a little bit warmer months. And then we just keep them moving. So it really is a nice system. Our grasses here on our property, I wish I had taken some photos when we first moved in a few years ago. There just hadn't been any ruminants on this property in quite some time. We had, you can still see it. You can still see, let me zoom in. You can still see some wisp of broom's edge up there. That is typically a marker of poor soil. Typically, if you see a bunch of broom's edge in a field, it's typically poor soil. Likely hasn't been used by any ruminants in quite some time. And I believe it's high acidic levels in the soil. I believe it's high acidity. But once again, correct me if I'm wrong. But that's always a telltale sign that you've got poor soil life. That was pretty prevalent on this property when we bought it. We've been rotationally grazing, or management intensive grazing, our animals really ever since we moved here. Now we've changed it. We've changed up our systems and our techniques and what we're doing, and we've changed our animals, and it's a learning curve. We want to learn, and this is a good way to learn, just by doing. But it's worked out well. Our grasses are a lot better. Our soil is improving over time, and we're hoping to get into more compost. We do some composting, but we want to get into more composting, more gardening, and kind of the total, I guess it'd be kind of a mixture of a homestead and small farm. We really want to be as self-sufficient as possible, but I'll digress on that. This is the way we kind of rotationally graze. This, and just to preface it, the electric netting fencing, while I like it, and it's very versatile, I like it because we can move it around where it's needed. I really do miss our fencing style at the bottom of the hill that we utilize for our sheep normally. The Greg Judy inspired fencing. That is 5 high tensile wires of electrified high tensile wire, and then we just use use some poly wire in between on reels to divide. That is really the ultimate setup for our sheep. It is so much faster and easier to maneuver and to set up paddocks. The fencing's nice. It works really well with the chickens in particular. But it is a little bit slower moving, but I do like that you can just pick it up, move it, and create paddocks wherever you need. That is one of the huge benefits of it. So anyway, I'm about to get in. We just grabbed about another, I don't know, 50 eggs, something like that. And I just thought I'd show you, now that we've got our chickens down here with our sheep and goats, and we're just following behind. The sheep will move daily, and then every day we'll open up the paddock a little bit more for the chickens. And the little red hen house I'll move Oh, I tend to move it every, I'd say on average 4 days. I probably ought to move its location every other day, just to get that nitrogen moved, because they do the majority of their pooping at night when they're roosting. But you know, I only have so much time in a day, and it gets hard to fit all that stuff in. But thanks for watching. If you watch this long, please do all the fun stuff. I love the comments, but like and subscribe, and see y'all next time. Thank you.